Hello, time for a new game here. It's Viktor Bologan against Magnus Carlsen, and it's the Biel chess festival in Switzerland. Bologan is a bit of an older player, I think. I think he has 26, sometimes maybe 27, and I think he's Romanian, so probably best player from Romania, if I remember correctly. So this is round 3. And he plays the Rosolimo variation against Magnus. He probably doesn't want to go into Magnus' main weapon, which is the Sveshnikov variation that starts like this. It's very heavily theoretical, and in the World Championship match between Fabiano Caruana and Magnus Carlsen, they played this. I think in half of the games. Half the game he played this, and half of the game Caruana played as Sveshnikov. And then Magnus he played set up like this. I think it was something like this. Something like this. This kind of a position was discussed a lot between Caruana and Carlsen in that match. But here he plays another line. He plays d6, and this is also a setup for black that I've tried. But yeah, I think it's maybe supposed to give. I think this is supposed maybe to give white some chances. So he plays a bit like a French here, and white plays typical of this. He doesn't want to go into like a French offense, so he wants to keep the position very, very solid for himself. And if white just plays like this, then black, there is not so much point to black's play, I think. An alternative was like to play like this. Now it doesn't work because of this common tactic. So, but I guess something like this would be a typical French position. But maybe this is not Bologan's cup of tea. So he plays d3. So now Magnus takes and play e5, and then we get a setup that is quite similar to Spanish, basically. Often Sicilian goes over in Spanish, a Spanish opening, with this kind of a setup, and it's one that's quite good for white in my opinion. This one looks much better than the position white get from the Spanish. So this is a bit of a success for white in my opinion. Because he can start some play here at once, maybe on the king side, and black hasn't castled yet. And yeah, black doesn't have so much. Black has to basically defend careful here, and if he does that, it's even. But white has some chances for some play, and he decides to go for play on the queen side. Would also have been normal just to go around and try to play on these squares. That would also have given white good chances for an advantage. Maybe here 92, 93, 93, something like that. So let's see what happened. Here white makes a strange move though. Maybe he's Bologan is playing a much higher rated player, and not only that he's much higher rated, it's also like at this time already it was quite clear that Magnus probably the greatest talent ever in chess. So of course that that gives Magnus a lot of advantages, because his opponents, they are playing more careful and scared. And actually in chess, what you don't want to do, you don't want to play if you play a much stronger player, you don't want to be very defensive and think like, it's completely the wrong mindset to think he will see every tactic, I have to play very, very simple and exchange pieces and try to hold a draw, but because that doesn't use to work. The right method is actually to think, let's try to play aggressive and tactically, and maybe the position will become so complicated so no one of us can calculate, and we only have to guess, and then I can win if I'm lucky, basically. So here knight b5 looks like a strong move, but it's also a little bit scary, like it can get trapped here, but it's definitely much better to go here than go back. So let's see what happens if he goes here. Like if he castle, then he can go here, take this bishop here, and he is just like good, quite a nice position. Apparently this is even better, but just something like this looks there is some it's quite easy to see that the white squares might get weak for black, so black doesn't have any prospects, and it's just stable advantage for white. For example, this move preparing knight bishop b3 looks fine for white, and apparently this is even better according to the computer. So makes some sense for black to play here to defend that square. Then best was to take here, also you threaten the knight. And now of course you have to take with a pawn, because knight check here can't be right. And then bishop here is only move because it covers the knight. And then yeah, because of this bishop it's logical to castle, and then it's logical for white to try to start going for a kingside attack here. Black's queen is tied up to defending these squares, and this would be a typical position. Even if the computer thinks this is quite even, this would be an uncomfortable position for Magnus, because white's play is very easy. He's just going to go here, and then going to go here, and then he's maybe going to go here, and he's going to get an attack. And yeah, but now when it goes back here, that's already a sign of like what is called like, I think defeatism is a word. Like you feel I'm like sports psychology says, like you shouldn't, like you should try to convince yourself that you can win the game even if you're playing a very strong opponent, because you don't suffer defeatism and play passively. So he castles, and but so objectively, like position is still fine for white. It's just a little bit of a defeatism here with knight b1. Here Magnus makes, in my opinion, quite a dangerous move. We saw this this g5 just a few moves ago, but then it was the game Carlsen Grishuk. Then Grishuk did this, but it was a difference, because in that game black had played bishop g4 and taken, and white had taken with a pawn. So in that game that bishop was completely dead. Here white can always move the knight, play f3 and activate the bishop if need be. So the computer didn't like these weakenings, but it's a sign of Magnus. He wants to win, so he takes risks here against a low-rated opponent. So let's see what happens. But yeah, But objectively, especially now with g5, it's quite clear to me at least that white has some potential to get a grip on the light squares here. Got light square play. Let's see what happens. And it also, people who commonly play this kind of structures, they know these plans. Maybe Bologan is King's Indian player, and then he has played a lot of positions that's a bit like this. Here also a little bit of defeatism here. White does this one because he see that he has a tactic here that can trade queens. So he managed to trade the queens, but yeah, I don't see any reason why it would be good for white to trade the queens. If anything, white should keep the queens and try to get an attack on the light squares. Okay, so here the game is even, but here apparently white makes a mistake. It was time here to start doing this move. Okay, and if he goes like here, then take. Okay, so then he can activate like this. Yeah, and because this is threatened, he can't move that here, so he has to go back. Yeah. Looks balanced. Looks fine for white. So let's see why this was not so good what was played. Okay, and maybe it's a little bit risky to go put the king in the center here. I'm not so sure. Maybe it's a little bit risky to put king in the center, but it looks logical. Of course, white threatens this, so he has to guard the rook. Computer like rook c2 beta or rook d2. Maybe take here also, I don't know. Play like in the other line. Okay, yeah, but he should have done, because now this is apparently possible. Yeah, because he doesn't have the knight here threatening this pawn. Okay, so this is already quite much better for black actually, with knight here and then take back with the bishop. And Magnus does. When I analyze this game, Carlsen Grishuk, I talked about this game where Capablanca, he played these kind of structures against this bishop, and he won because when the ending came on the queen side, this bishop was out of play. And it's same little here. It's the same thing, that this bishop is out of play here actually in this endgame. So let's see what happened. So here Magnus makes a big mistake. Apparently he could have got a great advantage with this move. Okay, and the plan is to do b3 and then c4. I still don't see that. Is it something with bishop a3 or something? I don't know. No, it's just like this. This kind of structure is too good for black. Yeah, this is too good. Okay, so it's I never saw this structure be this powerful, but here we can see that if black gets this play with the knights and the pawn, that's like a winning advantage here actually. So I think maybe Bologan didn't realize how dangerous this was. He probably thought this is still quite an easy draw, but actually if Magnus would have done this, he would have won the game, but he didn't understand that either. Okay, so here is a big mistake again. Yeah, bishop h2 looks really wrong. Like, why? Looks better to move this knight f3 and like get the bishop into play, but now he gets the chance to make this Now he gets the chance to get this set up. And here Bologan realized that he is losing. Probably here he sees, okay, c4, knight here, and he can take this pawn, or he can go here and take this pawn. So he decides to sacrifice a piece here to get some checks. But Magnus does the correct response here. He doesn't take back, which would give white some kind of play. Instead he does g4. And why is that so good? Okay, so the point is, if when he takes here, then knight c4. And when he moves the bishop, okay, then it can take the rook and then on b2 and win. Interesting. This counterattack is nothing because of this. Black is a pawn, a piece up. And this is actually almost mating. This is also a cool mate. Interesting. And yeah, of course, he can't go here either because of the fork. And that's interesting tactics here. But it's correct to do this king here because here at least white gets some plays. Like, can he win this pawn, then maybe it can be a draw. So here Magnus played correctly, knight b2. Here on c4. So this is strong, still strong, this setup. Yeah, black's winning now. This passer is just, yeah, it's just worth a piece basically. So it's just winning for black. And here he walks into mate in 2, but it's still, he's still lost. So, and of course, yeah, mate here. Okay, nice comfortable win against Bologan. So key moments in this game, it was here when he got to instead of going for an attack, and he would have an advantage here with knight b5. Yeah, he would probably have some advantage with this. He started to go backwards and play. He played passively here, knight b1, and then he started to play very passively. So that's and this one, when instead of trying to get some kind of attack, he tries to trade queens, but it's actually good for black because he has some space here, so he has some future play in an endgame. But if the queens were there, it would always be dangerous because of the weak squares here. Okay. And next time we will see Magnus' other win against Viktor Bologan. I think this Zurich Chess Festival, I think it's a double round robin, so we will see one game when Magnus is white against Bologan too. So and I will also bring up the tournament. I don't think I showed the table for that tournament, so I will do that also before I start next video.